So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Nick Ferrari trying to strawman Zoe Gardner on asylum seekers crossing the channel.
I'm just asking us to be realistic. Let's think about this in terms of what would be a real solution for those people. If we don't want them to take the boats, then we have to engage seriously with what they're escaping from that is so serious that they are willing to risk their lives in this way. And we have to have solutions to share responsibility across Europe for giving them a future. That's just, they're not going to disappear.
So this is something I've been saying for ages. Stop arming dictators and getting involved in stupid wars. That would be great. Because we're going to see massive refugee, we could have seen massive refugee crises coming from places like Lebanon. We probably still will, to be honest, out of Gaza and Lebanon, given the situations there. So stop engaging and involving and arming people that are bad actors and that are killing civilians, because ultimately they all leave. No one would want to stay in a war zone. And she's right, unless we deal with, if we had, whilst we were part of the EU, some sort of scheme where it was available to share refugees across Europe, we would have been in a much better situation. But all that happened is all that pressure got piled on to Greece and onto Italy, the areas where people, were crossing the Mediterranean, and it just caused an absolute nightmare because no one wanted to know. Ultimately, apart from Germany initially, no one cared and no one wanted to know. And Europe collectively put their fingers in their ears and said, la, 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 we don't want to hear it. And you had, tens of thousands, I think, of people just dying in, in around these countries, also trying to cross the channel. It's just wild to me. Like, we create a system where we just told refugees, nah, we told other, fellow European countries, nah, we ain't going to help you. Sorry, G. It's crazy.
But this is an industry that's putting millions of dollars or euros or pounds into the pockets of people traffickers.
Yeah, because we don't offer people an alternative way to travel, and so we create a market for people smugglers.
So you'd have everyone just come in?
No.
There's the straw man right there. So again, the point she makes is 100% reasonable. In terms of, you've created a market for these people smugglers, and the only way to deal with it is by doing things like safe routes of entry. And you've got this man straw manning her.
You see, I think that this goes to the problem with the way this is being reported constantly. And you started out this section with a big series of scary numbers. And it makes people, even people who really do care about helping refugees, feel like we're going to be overwhelmed. We're talking about 3% of immigration to the country. 3% of immigration to the country comes on these boats. And when we introduced safe routes for Ukrainians...
You talk about people who drown in the channel, and why it might be a good idea to try and prevent that.
Well, how about what we did for Ukrainians? Ukraine is a country of 38 million people, and it was invaded by a deranged, bloodthirsty dictator. And we offered a safe route... Please allow me to finish my point. Please allow me to finish my point. We offered a safe route, uncapped, to as many Ukrainians as needed to come to safety in the UK. Not one Ukrainian got in a boat and drowned, and we only received 200,000 people. So when you talk about these big numbers, and it sounds very scary, and we think we might be overwhelmed if we let people come here safely. The truth is, it's that a trickle of people want to come to the UK, and the UK needs people too.
It's just crazy, isn't it? She has to talk to him like he's a child. The way she explains it to him, it's like she's talking to a 5-year-old. Who just doesn't get it. And I guess she kind of has to, because the man's an idiot. Nick Ferrari is a clown, and he works at a circus in LBC. And her point, again, is correct. Like, we should have done what we did for Ukrainians, but it wasn't. One of the reasons why we had such, low numbers, I think, is because it was a Europe-wide scheme. Like, it was a scheme offered from countries across Europe, from Poland all the way to Ireland. And so, refugees had many different options. They could have stayed with family members. I think a lot of them decided to stay in neighbouring countries like Poland, I think in the hopes that, the war ends soon, and so they can return, which sadly hasn't happened. I think the Czech Republic took on quite a few people as well. And so what you saw was a Europe-wide scheme in order to help refugees from Ukraine. And that's one of the reasons why we didn't see too many Ukrainian refugees come here. We have the same scheme for people from Hong Kong as well. We have a scheme open for them to seek refuge here, which, again, if you want to make the distance argument about the Middle East, Hong Kong is way further away than anywhere in the Middle East. So, geography argument doesn't make sense. A cultural argument doesn't make sense. Because the culture, I believe, in Hong Kong would be very different to that in England. So, again, it's sad, really. Like, you have to explain, she has to explain this to a veteran kind of news TV guy because he doesn't understand it, and he's using constant straw man arguments and interrupting her. It's just, it shows you why we have a lot of the people in this country have the thoughts they have. It's because of manufactured consent by people like Nick Ferrari, who just don't understand anything. But that's the way it goes, I guess. But big shouts out to Zoe Gardner again for doing this stuff and having to put up with these people, because it couldn't be me. I'd call him a clown about 6 times during the call. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.